Welcome to the Mind Mastering Podcast. I am showcasing many interesting people that we can learn from athletes, coaches, people, human beings that have some insights, good experiences in life, and we can relate to each other in many ways. This is to educate, entertain, and just raise some positivity. Before I we start,
Hmm.
I was thinking, sometimes I put something together and I was thinking about you and how I should make this introduction. And this time I'm going to do it a little bit differently.
Okay.
I wrote something.
Oh.
If you know Kacie and if she's your friend, wow, you're a lucky person. She's not an open book or an easy book to read either, but she's the one you would read over and over and would never leave it somewhere hanging. You would put it on the spotlight of your shelf where all your favorite things are. Kacie is the person to light up the room, and I mean any room. She will make you laugh. She will dance her soul out. She will cheer you up, even when she doesn't feel like her best self. She's kind, caring, compassionate. If you get to be lucky enough to play with Kacie on the same team, she's that teammate who will dive for every rebound, who will never blame you, who will who will yell her lungs out to support and cheer for you, and she will have your back, and she will never give up. That's Kacie Bosch. And
Not me
I
tearing up.
had an honor to be your teammate and friend. So we played together at University of Lethbridge for 2 years, and we have stayed a long distance friends for some time. But Kacie, thanks for your time joining me. And I know you are a little bit tired with school and coming back from Olympic Games. I actually wanted to start with asking you, how did you make it to the Olympic Games? Because after graduating from University of Lethbridge, you kind of said bye bye to sports, and then it doesn't happen for every athlete that, oh, hello, do you want to participate in Olympic Games? So can you tell us how an athlete can make it to the Olympic Games, and how was the story for you?
Yeah, I number one, thank you for that intro. I still teary.
Shaking.
That is the kindest thing anyone's ever said. So I really appreciate you and I appreciate our friendship and our relationship. Um my journey to the Olympics again like hasn't been like each step in the right direction or the wrong direction or anything. And like you said, when I finished university basketball, I was kind of just done with sports because our team was so fun and I loved our teammates and the season that we had. And in my brain, I was like, I'm never going to have another team where there's this much chemistry and fun and we just love each other so much. And I don't want to ruin or taint my feelings for basketball with going to Europe and maybe having a coach or a team that I don't
Mm.
have that same relationship with. And I think that's like the one thing that really influences me and motivates me the most is like my teammates and the people that I love. And when you get to play with the people you love, it's just so much easier and better and everything is just so fun. So, yeah, I was retired in 2020 in February when our season was over. And then COVID shut everything down. The gyms were all shut down. And I was like, okay, this is a sign that I really did make the right decision to not continue playing. And I feel really at peace with that. There's not even like a university team that's playing right now that I could look at and be like, oh, like I missed those days, kinds of thing. And I was just playing pickup basketball with my brother, back to my roots, back to middle school
Mm.
and like high school, just going and playing with his friends, which again brought joy back to basketball because I was playing with people that I love. And then I got a call from Paige Crozen, who's my teammate on the 3x3 team. And it was in September, maybe late August, early September, saying, hey, it is the middle of the 2021 season. We need somebody to come play for this Montreal stop, but we don't have funding yet, so you'd have to pay your own way. And can you come play? And I was working at the time. I was doing my labor job at the city of Lethbridge, weed whipping and doing all that every day. And I couldn't really miss work, and I couldn't really afford to send myself there because I was saving up to move to New Zealand. So I told her, no, I can't do that because I have like these other obligations, and I have this dream of me going and living with my mom's side of the family in New Zealand and being on the beach and just like a different way of life. And that was the goal that I had in my brain, and I turned her down. And then when I told my dad that I had had that opportunity, he got so mad at me. He was like, Kacie, that could have been like your one chance to have the Canada jersey and have an experience that you'll maybe potentially never have again. And immediately I was like, oh, I didn't even think about it like that. I was literally just had my blinders up thinking about New Zealand because that's all I've wanted to do since like the end of university. And luckily enough, because Paige is in Lethbridge, I'm fairly sure that's one of like the biggest reasons. They needed another player in November of 2021 for the AmeriCup because Catherine Plouffe was playing overseas and wouldn't be able to make it back. So I got to go to Miami for the AmeriCup, inaugural AmeriCup in 2021, and play with Michelle and Paige and Kat Trayer, who was one of our teammates too. And that was like my first 3x3 tournament, and I loved it, had the best time. And when the summer rolled around, obviously I didn't go to New Zealand because all of 5 of my trips that I had booked at some point in time got canceled due to COVID. Like I had booked 5 separate trips. And so the universe kept telling me, hey, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. Like, why do you keep attempting? So finally, I was just fed up with talking to airlines on the phone and decided, okay, like, let's figure out a different path. And then I got to go to the World Cup in 2022 with the 3x3 team, and that was like the first tournament where it was the Plouffe twins, Paige, and myself. We ended up getting silver, which was super cool. We played the rest of the summer together, won the tournaments that we played together, won the women's series in 2022, continued on, won the gold medal at the AmeriCup in 2022, and summer of 2023, again, we had a lot of success together. Maybe not the best World Cup, but it's really hard not to define your team and your view of basketball in one tournament, which I'm sure we'll talk about later with the Olympics. But yeah, I was just so lucky to play with the 3 women that I was playing with, and we had a lot of success together, and I attribute that a lot to the chemistry that we have off the court and just how much fun and how much laughter and how much joy and happiness we bring to each other. And their goal when they started in 2019, this 3x3 team, was always to get to the Olympics. It was always to establish the program in Canada and build like developmental steps and kind of build a pathway and a blueprint for teams to follow in the future. I can't believe it.
Me neither. I mean, I knew I would get emotional in this.
Yeah. No, now I'm gonna cry. So yeah, their goal was always to make it to the Olympics, and like when they would kind of like say that or express that to me, like it never like clicked for me that that's like where I could end up. Like I always was like, yeah, like I'm like the 4th person. Like it's like these 3 and then it's me. And like I'm going to help them get to where they want to go because they deserve it. They've started this from the beginning. They are like the top three like players in the world. They're so talented. Like they deserve every opportunity that they've taken for themselves. And if I can be a part of that, why wouldn't I be? So yeah, when they would talk about qualifying for the Olympics, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna help them get to the Olympics, and then never really know what's gonna happen, like with your spot. Or I wasn't a Division 1 player my whole career. I wasn't even like an all Canadian. I wasn't any of those things, and I feel like Canada basketball, like their pool of athletes is like the Div 1 athletes, the people that have played national team stuff before and things like that. So it can get fairly political, and I was always under the impression like maybe they're going to get their hands in this team and they try to reconfigure it and find somebody who they think could replace me, even though like deep down I knew that like my role on the team couldn't be replaced by somebody else. But again, a lot of that is like out of the control of you, which is really hard to not focus on. So that was a source of anxiety throughout the entire journey. So when we started our qualification journey in May, we were in Utsunomiya playing in an 8-team tournament. Only the top team was going to get to go to the Olympics. And when they told me that I was going to be on the roster for that, I was elated because I was like, okay, like I get to help these girls like finish the job that they have started since 2019. These are my girls, they're my best friends, they're my sisters. Like if I'm going to do it for anybody, it's going to be for these people. And when we lost that tournament to Australia twice, I think that was maybe the most I think that was like the biggest wake up call that we really needed, because we weren't playing how we usually play. It felt like we were playing out of fear of not getting there, or we weren't playing with the same amount of joy that we usually had, and the pressure was really getting to us, and we kind of faltered under it. But luckily we had another opportunity. We were in Hungary, and the top 3 teams got to go, and that tournament was also a roller coaster, as any 3x3 tournament is. We lost to Spain in the semifinal off of a last second backwards crazy prayer shot.
Yeah.
Crazy. But again, if you're going to lose in any way, I'm happy it was like that. And because we have another opportunity, then we beat Hungary. And I swear, like as soon as we got to 21 points, the tears just immediately started, because then it really starts to sink in like, okay, Canada's going to the Olympics. Like this is the goal that they've had in mind since 2019, and they've seen it to fruition. And yeah, and even at that point I was like, I still don't know if I'm going to be on the roster. I still don't know, but the fact that I got to be a part of this is so amazing, and I can only do what I can do, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen, whether or not I worry about it. So I actually partially tore my ACL and MCL in April in our first women's series stop. So I have a torn meniscus on my right knee, and on my left knee I have partial ACL, MCL, and bruised my meniscus. So that entire month I was playing on it, didn't have time to rest it or anything like that. So it was just a lot of pain. And so then after we qualified, I had to take like a month off just to be able to fix my knee. It's still not good, but yeah. When I found that I was going to be on the roster, I was like, okay, well, let's go get some hyaluronic acid, some Durolane injections in my knee so that I can make it through the grueling 10-game, 5-day tournament that's going to be the Olympics. And yeah, yeah.
Wow. Again, just like shows how tough you are, and also like you thinking of other people, like you thinking that you are gonna help these girls to fulfill their dream, although you are with them equally important. But just the mindset, like you're so caring and so thoughtful. But also, do you need to get surgery or no?
I don't need to get it on my ACL MCL knee, but my torn meniscus, I do have to get surgery because it's the same knee where I tore my ACL in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So right now my ACL is like this, and they want to put the lateral support in so that my meniscus will stop catching. And they didn't want to just go in and do a scope and clean it out because the surgeon was like, I want you to have healthy knees for the rest of your life, and that's not
Mm-hmm.
what is going to solve it. So I have to have a few conversations in the next little while to see what the best timing would be or anything like that. So,
Wow, Casey.
yeah, yeah. Playing on a torn meniscus for like a year and a half is not ideal, but
And also, like in Olympic Games, where it's like such a high competition and you're just like exhausted,
yeah,
even as a healthy person.
yeah, yeah.
Well, congrats to you for
Thank you.
sticking it through and being an Olympian. I was watching you playing and I was getting emotional, literally. Like, I think it was maybe game against Australia or one of the games because I think I watched all of them. And I'm thinking, like, wow, this is Kacie, my teammate, fulfilling athlete's highest dream. Like, you can't go higher than that. And I was so proud of you. So, yeah, I mean, bittersweet because I think everyone thought Canada will be at least top three. Fourth place. Oh, painful.
Yeah, soul crushing.
Oh my goodness.
Soul crushing.
Do you think, like, what happened? Do you think there was a reason because you played so well? Was there like a pressure or you were like just so exhausted as a team or something didn't click or mentally something played a part? What do you think happened?
I feel like there are just so many factors. I, again, I don't think, without having been to the 3x3 Olympic Games, I don't know if you can even like try to prep for what it
Mm,
was because our tournaments are usually 2 days, maximum like 5 games, maybe six, but to have to play 10 games in 5 days with like the same environment that you usually play in, which is like 30-degree heat, uh, pretty humid. You got to play through rain sometimes. You got to all of the environmental factors. We also, again, and you should never place blame on like officiating or anything like that. But sometimes I feel like maybe we didn't adjust to how the game was being called, and
mm,
sometimes it's really hard not to give energy to the officiating and have it like take away from gameplay. But we did have one ref us in 6 of our 10 games, which there was no other team that had the same person ref them for like more than three, and uh, that I feel like was a big lapse in the FIBA scheduling. I feel like nobody who is organizing anything should ever have that issue. I mean, he refed 7 women's games and 6 of them were ours.
mm.
And my brother's putting together all of this. He's fired up about it. He's putting together like all the statistics of when the seventh foul was called versus the other team and like all the other statistics. Anyway, not to put a lot of it like has to do with us. It's really hard not to focus on the things that are outside of your control too. But I just feel like a lot of our energy was lost in some of the calls that were made, and that is also up to us to not have that happen in a tournament that is as important and feels everybody just wants to win, and it feels so big. To not have things like that get to you is something that is quite difficult and again out of your control. But we started off so hot in our first 2 games, and then we had our morning game at 9:30, which is not an ideal time for our
Mm.
crew at all. Um, And then yeah, just trying to like get back into the groove is difficult, but I really do think that we were probably putting a lot more pressure on ourselves than we needed to do.
Mm.
And again, it's hard not to when it's like a stage like that. But yeah, just it just wasn't our tournament, and that is tough to say. I mean, Germany played amazing. That was the best I've ever seen them play the entire time that I've been playing. So they totally deserved the gold medal. They were unbelievable. Sunny Graniker was out of her mind, playing so well with a
Mm.
broken hand. And Spain, again, is such a talented team. They are amazing. They deserve to be on the podium, too. USA got away from us, and like that one's going to haunt us for sure. But again, like a talented group of women. So when you look at it that way, it's cool because like those are the people that you play with all the time, and it's cool to see other people succeed, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But to have it not be our best in the one tournament that is only every 4 years is a tough pill to swallow. But again, trying not to dictate the success of our team on one tournament is difficult. But
Yeah, but also in my mind, Canada was always on three, like the best team in the
mm-hmm,
world.
mm-hmm.
And also, you were on a stage like in Olympic Games where everyone actually could win.
Yeah,
Like it's not like a regular tournament. These are
mm-hmm.
the best of the best. So it's sports.
Yeah,
Sometimes you lose. Do
yeah,
you think you had? Oh, go ahead.
and like everybody plays with the most passion at the
Mm,
Olympics. Like that's
yeah.
everybody's gonna lay their heart on the line for it. So yeah, everybody's best game all the time.
So you have experience playing 5-on-5, now 3-on-3.
Mm-hmm.
Very different, right?
Extremely.
Wow. Can you point out like what's the biggest difference? I mean, like how does it feel? Which one you like to play more?
Now I like 3x3 more
Mm,
than 5-on-5. However, I miss transition in 5-on-5 and like running full court. I would say I miss that. It's so hard for me to go play 5-on-5 now because of spacing.
mm-hmm.
Because in 3x3 you have an entire like half court with only three people, so you have so much space to work and navigate and crash, and you don't hit other bodies when you move. And I would say like pace of play is for sure one of the biggest differences. I mean, how could it not be when there's only a 12-second shot clock in 3x3? Uh, so many possessions in such a small amount of time. And then on defense, too, not having like help side at all. So it's pretty much just one-on-one defense the entire time. And you really have to be crisp with your ball screen defense, and you really have to communicate because as soon as two people go to one, then that's like an immediate basket for the other team. So I would say it's like I really do equate 3x3 to like the beach volleyball version of volleyball. It's like you have to have like a well-rounded skill set. You could definitely be just like a really good shooter, but if you can't play defense or you have to be able to do a little bit of everything, or at least have a bunch of teammates that can do a little bit of everything, because
Mm,
you're kind of on your own most
mm-hmm.
of the game.
But also like 3x3 is way tougher. Like it's grinding.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
harder too, right? Like physically.
Yeah, yeah. The cardio system too in 3x3 is completely different. Like it really is a 10-minute sprint. Like
Yeah.
you can't walk. There's no time to walk. You sit on the chair for maybe 20 seconds until the next whistle blows, and then your
Mm-hmm.
teammate is gassed, so then you have to come back in and you're playing tired. And just the physicality of it too. Like I bleed from my head every tournament and get so many bruises, and even the flooring of 3x3
Mm-hmm.
is not super
And
conducive
the
to
ball.
joints. The ball, I love the ball now.
You like it?
I love it. Men's weight, but the women's size.
Mm.
I love it. I love it.
But also, like on timeouts, you have to play a chair game, like only one chair, and then four people trying to sit down
Yeah.
on one chair. I would need a chair. Who
Yeah.
was, how do you like? Figure out who's gonna have that chair to sit down and take a break.
Usually it's who it's not who is going to sub next because they get to sit in the chair after the timeout
Right.
is done. So it's pretty much like whoever is number one the most gassed, or number two, whoever just takes it first. I feel like our team is always like, we know who's the most tired, so we kind of shuffle them to the chair and
Mm.
then everybody stands. But
I never
yeah,
saw you sitting on a chair in
I
timeout.
I don't sit on the chair. I leave it for somebody else.
Oh,
Yeah.
you see, again, Kacie, you
Uh,
own it sometimes too.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think you had a breakthrough moment in Olympics where you gained more confidence?
Yeah. I feel like I just had a moment where I was just like, okay, for lack of better terms, like, fuck it. I'm just gonna do what I gotta do. And with, again, my three teammates who are the best three players in the entire world,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, like, teams are gonna start to sag off and, like, use my defender to guard Captain Plouffe in the paint. Why wouldn't you? She's so dominant.
Mm-hmm.
And my coach, before we played our Australia game, or even against, before we played like Tiffany Hayes in Azerbaijan, she was like, just so you know, like, just go play. Like, don't think about it. Just take what the defense gives you and just go. And
Mm-hmm.
for so long, I was just trying to stick to the game plan and not kind of like go off on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I play my worst, is when I'm thinking too much about it. But as soon as I let the flow of the game just come to me and I'm not thinking about decisions, that's when good things happen. So yeah, I just said fuck it, and I felt really confident when we played against Azerbaijan, and I think that really helped propel me in the Australia
Mm-hmm.
game. Also because the Aussies have beat us twice in the OQT, and I knew again like they weren't going to guard me, so I was like, okay, well, going into this, I'm just going to take every shot they give me, because what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to miss and I'm going to go crash and get my own board, and or I've got my teammates who are going to crash and get my board. So let's
Mm-hmm.
just go for it. And then I did well, got stitches, went back in, and
Mm.
yeah, I feel like that was probably the moment where I was like, okay, like I wish that I would have felt like this the whole time, but
Mm.
there's no better time than now. So
Yeah,
why not?
good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, well deserving. And I mean, you see, you let go of overthinking and worrying about sticking to the game plan that you don't matter that much,
Hmm.
but then you just go fuck it and you start playing and taking the initiative and you see what happens.
Hmm.
9 points in one game. Then actually, you in many positions you helped to excel for Canada. So good job.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Keep it. Don't let
Yes.
it go.
Now that it's there.
Yes, can't lose it. You know
No.
how it feels. You know what you have to do. So now you
Hmm.
can master it.
Hmm.
Okay. Mm, if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to. But this year, many victories, some significant losses. I mean, that's life.
Hmm.
But do you want to share with us, like, for listening, um, what are your highs? What are your lows this year? How you balance it? Um, how you feel? Like, what has happened in terms of like feeling super high in victories in life, sports, and then at the same time going through some significant setbacks in life.
Hmm. Yeah, I just feel like every year is a roller coaster. This one felt especially, and it's not even over yet. It's only August. Are you kidding?
I know.
It has been, yeah, a crazy time, but I I mean, I'm a full-time student. I was a full-time student almost got kicked out of my ed degree because I was missing too much school for coaching and basketball.
Seriously.
I almost got kicked out of.
Professors who are listening, what the hell?
I almost got kicked out of a class that I was taking because the attendance policy for ed is so stringent, and I was helping coach the U of L, so I was away at tournaments because I was trying to help Dave because Paige had taken a sabbatical so that she could train more, which again is great. So then I was like the lead assistant, doing that and full time student, and then having 3x3 to train for and have tournaments during the school year for was very difficult. But yeah, almost got kicked out, didn't. Thank you to the associate dean, Danny Balderson, for helping me
Thank you.
through that. Uh, and then, yeah, when we started our qualification journey when we were in Japan, my my grandma had like been in pretty bad health. Yeah, so
We don't have to talk about it, Casey. Unless you think it's valuable for other people who go through similar things and
no, it definitely is. So her and my grandpa were like my biggest fans. I lost my grandpa a few years prior, and like she was in bad health. My dad was a snowbird, so he goes to Arizona for the winters, and when she was in the hospital and he wasn't able to go see her, I would go visit her. And um, she got out of the hospital, which was great. She's back at her home. She's getting home care, that kind of stuff. And then when I went on our first qualifying campaign, we were in Springfield first for our women's series stop that we won, and then we went straight from there to Japan. And when we went to Japan, my dad had told me that she was like in the hospital again, and I was like, okay, well, that is crappy because after we're done in Japan, we're supposed to go back to Toronto, and I won't be able to go home in between. And then we go straight from Toronto to Hungary for our next qualifying tournament. There's no time to go home. So my teammates and myself, we all wanted to go home. We didn't want to go to Toronto because after losing that qualifying tournament, just mentally and emotionally, it was a lot. And we were like, the only proper way to recharge, we feel like, is going home and just getting back into a regular routine for a few days, and then we can reconvene in Hungary. But our flights were already booked to Toronto. We couldn't move them or change them. And so we went to Toronto. And luckily enough, we had sponsors who were able to fly two of our family members out to us in Toronto. So at least we got a little bit of home. So my older brother and my mom came to Toronto for that week that we were there training, got to have a great time with them. And then we went to Hungary after that. And my dad was giving me updates and stuff on my grandma on and then he like started to be a little bit more distant and wasn't maybe like sending as many text messages as he normally would and things like that. So I had like a bad feeling in my chest. And this was Saturday, which was like the day before we qualified. It was like the quarterfinals and things like that. And I just had this feeling. I was like, I remember because it was May 18th. It was my stepmom's birthday. And I was like, I just have a feeling that like my grandma has passed. Like I had this overwhelming sense that like something had happened. And like I went to my phone and I started looking up like obituaries in Lethbridge. Because I was like, surely she's going to be on here. Like I have a feeling she's going to be. Didn't find her or anything. And then the next day, or maybe it was the same day, I can't exactly remember, but within like 24 hours, we had qualified for the Olympics. And again, like on top of the world, like this was the goal we set out for so long. We were so happy. We were celebrating everything. And then I come home and I live with my older brother. Uh, and I park my car after the 20-hour travel day that we've had. And I had told my mom, I was like, Mom, like, I know we qualified, but I just need to get home and I need to shower. I just need some time to be so that I can actually celebrate this achievement with people, because I don't want to do it while I'm grumpy and smelly and haven't been to the bathroom in 4 hours, whatever. So I rounded the corner as I was getting home and I saw my dad's truck outside of the house. And immediately I was like, oh, like I don't want to like interact with people yet. I just want to get in there and shower, whatever. And my brother runs out of the house and he's so excited and he's like hooting and hollering. And I was like, I was expecting this because I live with him all the time, so it's fine. And see my dad and he's giving me a hug, whatever. We come upstairs and we're talking on the couch and he's going to kill me for saying this as his delivery, but it's part of the story. I'm sitting on the couch and my dad is there, my brother is there, and my dad is like, so is your mom gonna book her trip to Paris to watch you at the Olympics? And I was like, yeah, like I'm pretty sure, I don't know, but I'm assuming yes. And he goes, well, I just want you to know that grandma died. And I literally had to look at my brother because I was just in shock. I was like, there's no way he just did a delivery sandwich in that way. And I looked at my brother, and my brother was like legitimately trying not to laugh because he's also like, how is this the way that he's telling her? And so I look at my brother, and he's like nodding, trying not to laugh. And I look at my dad, and I was like, Dad, what the hell? And then I, again, because of the way he told me, didn't really know how to process it. So I just started like sobbing and laughing at the same time. And then my dad was like, oh, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it to come out like that. And then he told me, he was like, yeah, she passed away on the 18th, which was the day that I really felt like something had happened. And that's when I checked the obituaries and that's when I did everything. So, yeah, coming back and like coming off the high of qualifying for the Olympics. And then I remember too, like on the drive home, I was telling Paige, I was like, oh, like, I just can't wait till I can like go see my grandma. And celebrate with her, and I couldn't. But like
She was with you.
That's what I again like I had that overwhelming feeling, and I really do think it's because she was there.
Yeah.
But it was a roller coaster for sure.
Fuck. What an emotional mix. But
Yeah.
I think the hardest, where this is where I really feel for you, is that you were away when that happened. Because if you remember, that year when I came to Lethbridge, to Canada, that's the year when my dad passed away in March. And I was in New York, couldn't see him, so I just came for a funeral. But I think that's the hardest part too. But Kacie, I'm so sorry for your grandma, but she's with you.
I believe that. Yeah.
Have you processed emotions? Because it was like mix of being happy for Olympics, but then also toughest. I think because grandmas are so close to us.
Yeah.
That's a different level of someone passing away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, every time I talk about it, I'm still emotional, and I don't know how long that's going to be till I'm not. But yeah, just going from like the highest of high to the lowest of low in the span of, again, like 24 hours. And then when people would congratulate me on like qualifying, all I could think about was, okay, well, I'm going to speak at my grandma's funeral next week. So yeah,
Oh my
tough,
goodness.
tough, tough, tough. But life, hey?
It is, yeah, life chases us down. Mm, what helps you to like um be so resilient?
I just, genuinely, I really do rely on like the people around me a lot.
Mm,
And I am a hermit myself, so I am not the best at keeping in touch, or I love time by myself, and to have the friends that I've had, especially during this time, like like reach out and kind of force me to talk has been really good, or force me to go out for dinner, or force me to go to the mountains for a hike, or force me to do things like that when maybe I don't feel like I should, or I just want to sit and think about everything. I just feel like I have such a great group of people around me, even my teammates. Like I didn't even share with them when my like boyfriend and I broke up, because I was like, I don't want people to like feel bad for me, and I don't want people to feel like, oh, like she's having like a tough go, because
mm,
I'm like the happy, I'm the bubbly, I'm the positive, and it's that also helps me sometimes, like fake it till you make it. Until it doesn't,
mm-hmm,
until you're like, okay, I actually should sit with these emotions
mm-hmm,
and feel them. But
mm,
again, just knowing that I don't have to, but I get to be like a positive light for other people is also a reason
mm,
why I don't always maybe do what's best for me in moments like that. But
mm. Well, then my introduction was very accurate. It was just what I said was actually what I felt and think. And here you go. Everyone can see it, hear it. Um, yeah, you're special.
it's very kind. Sometimes I wish
There.
I wasn't that way. Maybe it'd be better for me, but that's okay. We're learning, we're
Well,
growing, we're getting better every day. So,
hmm,
conversations like this with people like you, good people who want to help people and genuinely care, that makes a big difference.
mm,
So, I appreciate you.
well, that's why we are still in contact.
Hmm.
We are like minded.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned you're not a D1 player. Bullshit. You are a D1 player. You played for 2 years in Gonzaga University. I always wanted to talk about this with you, but I
Hmm.
don't know why we haven't spoken about it. Basically, you were there for 2 years and then you transferred back to Canada, to Lethbridge.
Hmm.
How was your experience? What were the difficult parts? What were you grateful for? What made you to make a move?
Yeah. I I never wanted to go play Div 1. It was never like a dream or
Mm,
aspiration that I had. Like I hadn't written my SAT or ACT until I was in grade 12. Like it just wasn't something that I wanted to really do. I wanted to play at the U of L and play with my family and play with my friends, and again, I feel like I've always had a pretty good life balance, and I knew at the U of L like I would have that life balance and I knew I would be happy. And when I was in high school, I played volleyball and had a had a full ride offer to Gonzaga to play volleyball. And I was like, I'm a basketball player. I don't really want to go play volleyball there. And then a few months later, I was offered a scholarship for basketball, and I was like, okay, like, what's the worst that can happen? I'll go down. I don't like it. I can always come back, and that'll be that. And I ended up going. The coach that recruited me
You
left.
had double offers for
Yeah,
volleyball and for basketball.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I wanted to try to play both, but then the basketball coach said that I wouldn't be able to do that, so didn't end up doing that. Again, don't regret my decision because I ended up where I'm supposed to end up. But
Mm-hmm.
while I was playing basketball there, I was like, oh, like I should have played volleyball.
Mm.
My life would be more peaceful if I decided to do that. But I ended up going to Gonzaga in 2014 in September, and I was 17 years old. First time living away.
17.
Yeah, my birthday is November, so I was like young for my grade. And I yeah, was 17 when I went down. I had just come off of like 3 months from a concussion, so I hadn't done like any workouts because I was having concussive symptoms. Went to school and first time living away, so obviously I'm going to try to do everything socially I can do because now I have so much freedom. I was in like 7 classes, but 2 of them were half time, so it was really like 6 classes, which is a huge course load for a freshman.
7 classes. Usually people, it's either 3 or 4 classes a semester.
And yeah, I don't know why, but okay. Like I was
That's
a
like
good
double.
yeah, I was a good student in high school, so I was like, okay, like I should be able to do fine. No, I had like a 2.9 GPA, which again like isn't bad. It's just not my standard. So
Mm-hmm.
I had my 2.9 GPA. We were practicing all the time. My coach and I just didn't really see eye to eye. Um, but again, like I'm never going to like say anything in practice. I'm never gonna give like attitude to her when she's talking. I'm pretty much like just gonna take everything that she says and again just try to be me. I would be the one before games dancing in the circle, like to get everybody hyped. I'd be the one standing and cheering whenever anything happened. Like my freshman year, I didn't really play, which again, I was not expecting to play. I never have those expectations because you have to earn it. And I'm going to go in with all of these super talented women who, again, are some of them are like 21, 22. I'm 17. Like, I'm not going to step on toes. I'm just going to go in and do what I got to do. And I was just like so anxious all the time. I was so scared to make mistakes because as soon as I made a mistake, like it was pointed out. Whereas if other people did the same thing, it wasn't. And I just felt miserable. Like I hated going to practice. I hated going to games were fine because I knew I wasn't going to play and I just got to cheer on my teammates. So I loved that. I loved going to the weight room because I loved our weights coach and I did super well in the weight room. And again, you can like cheer for each other and you can push yourself and there's no pressure. And I loved my my assistant coaches were great. I it wasn't the right fit for me. And in my sophomore year, I started off super great. Like I was playing on like the starters side for like practices and I was doing quite well. I was feeling confident and then we got to preseason. We had like a closed door scrimmage against Cal and I had one of my high school boyfriend's best friend had passed away. Um, and I wanted to go home for his funeral. And it's a 6 hour drive from Spokane. I would drive the Friday back to Lethbridge, stay for the funeral Saturday, come back Sunday, which as a 18-year-old at the time, I feel like that's a responsible not to drive in the night. It's responsible to not drive tired. So I asked my coach, I was like, I know we have this closed door scrimmage and this At this time, she had put me back on the other side, so I wasn't with the starters anymore. She had scooted me down. And I was like, is it possible, like, my friend, who I spent a lot of time with in high school, just passed away. His funeral is on Saturday. I need to go back and like be a part of this. And she told me, no, you can't go on Friday. We have a closed door scrimmage. You can't miss that. But like, go up on Saturday, go to the funeral, and come back. And I was like, okay, well, cool. So I have to wake up at like 6 a.m. in order to get there and be able to like shower, get changed, go with my friends so that we can be together before we go to this thing. And we have the closed door scrimmage, and she didn't play me once until the last 30 seconds of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was just kind of, again, that's like kind of the way like she treated me throughout. Like I one time was going for a hike with my friends during like final exam season, and she looked at me in front of everybody and was like, you had the worst GPA on the team last year, like do you really think you should go for a hike? Like would say stuff like that for no reason in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And I, again, she would also in scout, I'm 5'9". I was like the second shortest person on the team. um, we would like have to learn our positions, whatever, and then she would get to me and she would tell me like, what does the five do? Like their fourth in line
Mm,
five. Like tell me, you should. So
yeah.
then I would have to prep for everything because I knew like as soon as she felt like she could hoop me, she would try to.
Mm-hmm.
And after my sophomore season, I was like, yeah, I'm not putting up with this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for it. I'm not enjoying my time here. And when I told her that I wanted to transfer, she was like, well, yeah, not everybody can be a glue guy. So, like, I get it. And I was like, this is the most disrespectful thing anyone has ever said to me. Like, I know I'm making the right decision. Like, this is just not for me. And then when I got to the Olympics, she came and was watching and like texting me, and Gonzaga women's basketball posted about like Zags in the Olympics and put me on there. And I was like, this is so wrong. For You can't just claim a person when they start to do well when you're like the main reason that I left. And I don't like to talk poorly about people. That's legitimately just like the path that I was on, and that's just what happened. And when I told some of the staff that I was leaving, not the assistant coaches, but the people working in the periphery, when I told them I was leaving, they're like, yeah, you should. That, yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
should do that. So that
Yeah.
was pretty validating too. But yeah, when she told me not everybody can be a glue guy, I was like, this is too much. Like, I do everything for my teammates. I've done everything not for me because I wouldn't have stuck around for this long if I was doing it for myself. Like, I love
Yeah.
the people in that locker room. And yeah, to feel like that was just a slap in the face. And I was like, this is
Mm.
not a place for me. And I came back. So it's good.
Good on you for doing what's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Sometimes people are scared.
Well, and that was like the most nerve-wracking conversation that I had, was just to like stand up to her and tell her like, this is
Mm.
what I'm gonna do, and these are like the reasons why. And again, like, I didn't go in there, I didn't flame her. I just said, yeah, I don't think this is the right fit for me. I don't like, I'm not happy here. I just want to go home. And then she was like, yeah, well, but you don't want to be this person, or like you don't want to try to get to this level or this level. And I was just like, yeah, I don't think that I'm going to be able to do that here no matter what.
Mm.
So it's hard to play for a coach that you don't love. So it was just not,
Yeah.
yeah, that was
Coach
that.
makes a huge difference in an athlete's life.
Mm-hmm.
But did you consider transferring to a different D1 school or no?
No,
Yeah.
I did try to play volleyball. I went and talked
Yeah.
to the volleyball coach at Gonzaga, because the one that recruited me had left, but the assistant was now
Mm.
the head coach there. And I was like, is there any chance that I would be able to come play volleyball and like transfer from the basketball team to the volleyball team? And she was like, oh, like, let's see if we can make it work. And then they just didn't have a spot, and I couldn't afford to stay at that
Mm.
school without a scholarship. So
Right.
came back.
Came back home
Yeah.
and crushed it.
Had the
Was it
best
then
time.
was it then next year, like when you came back to Lethbridge, that's when I joined, or like year after?
Year after. Well, it was two
Mm.
years because I tore my ACL
Mm.
and had to sit out for one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had 1 year when you weren't there. And then my last two was with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were out for a huge portion of fifth
Yeah.
year.
Concussions.
Yeah. Jeez Louise.
Fun.
Not fun.
No, not
Not
fun.
fun.
Um, okay. And in Canada, obviously you felt uh like work life balance was way more manageable. You felt happier, you
Mhm.
played so well. So it was good move, yeah?
Yeah, and my family was around, which is huge for me too. So
Mm-hmm.
mental health skyrocketed when I got back.
Yay. Good.
Yeah,
That's very important. That's the most important thing.
it really is.
It is. Yep. Okay, Casey. Mm, how many books did you read in a month? I remember you posted on Instagram like 24 or 28 books like in a month. Are you fucking kidding me?
I was reading a lot. I have not read in the last little while. I really go in spurts, but as soon as I know when I'm not going to be busy, I just rack up the books, and then when I am busy, then I don't feel bad for not reading as much or not
How many?
reading fiction for
What's
myself.
the record in a month?
In a month, 16. I wish it was 20.
Oh, okay.
16.
Still don't know anyone on this freaking planet who can read 16 books in a month. People sometimes don't even read that in a lifetime.
It's my older brother. He doesn't read, but yeah,
Okay.
it's just so fun. It's so fun. And when you find a book that you really get into, you can't stop.
Hmm. How do you make it possible? Because if I read, I start to fall asleep too.
Uh, See, I do that as soon as it's past like 9 p.m. As soon as I start reading, I'll fall
Mm.
asleep. So it's like a short window when I know I'm going to be locked in, then
Mm.
it's like I have to do it during the daytime where there's like direct sunlight coming at me
Mm-hmm.
somewhere so that it does keep me awake. But yeah, as soon as it's like past 9 p.m., I'm out.
Okay, that's maybe might be the problem for me.
Yeah. Go somewhere sunny
Yeah,
before 9 o'clock.
I need time, then
Yeah.
free time for that. But
Yeah.
I get it. But still, I don't think I could beat you on reading 16 books a month. That's like crazy.
I think you could if
Lot.
you found 16 books that you really liked.
Maybe if it's poetry and there's like two sentences per page, maybe.
Hey, that still counts. Still
That's probably
counts.
your trick. That's
Yeah.
what you do.
I read picture books.
I could read baby books.
Yeah,
There's not.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Count it.
Then I'll start doing that. I
Hmm.
need to beat you
Yeah.
somewhere. But besides you being a bookworm, talented bookworm, amazing photographer, because I like your pictures and I know you've done this too, and talented performer. I always said you could be on Broadway. Yes, you could. Always starting our practices with some performance from Kacie Bosch, which was amazing because you would light up the basketball court at 7 a.m. Thank you for that. And talented basketball player. Are there any other secret talents that we can hear about?
Secret talents. Oh. I don't I don't think so. I don't
So
I
I know all of them.
I secret talents, things that I'm good at.
Maybe you can make amazing coffee.
Oh, I wish. I don't even have a coffee machine at my house.
Mm,
'That's what I
then
need to
no,
do.
that's out.
Surely there's something. Surely there's something.
I'm sure there is. I think just secretly talented from any aspect. Amazing person, human being. I really like you, Casey. I just wish people would have friends like you around them more often. I mean, look at whole team that came to Paris to support you, like friends, family, relatives. That speaks a lot.
And now I'm gonna cry again. Yeah, I
This is a therapy session.
I
Go
just feel
ahead.
I just feel so lucky. I just the people that I have in my life are so amazing and so supportive, and they just fill my bucket all the time, and I just feel
Mm,
just so lucky that I get to be in their presence. It's so cool. It's so cool. I can't believe it.
well, there's a reason why it's that way. You're the reason. You are. Um, is there anything? Oh, actually, question. If
Yeah.
you had to suggest one book to anyone, what would it be?
The first one that came to my mind, I feel like has been relatively popular. Remarkably Bright Creatures. I
Mm.
can't remember who the author is, but it's about an octopus in an aquarium and
Mm.
the people who help take care of it. And it's like a little bit weird, but it goes from like the octopus's point of view and then the people who are around the octopus point of view. And it's just a really heartwarming story. It'll make you cry, it'll make you laugh, it'll make you smile, and it's just a feel good. It's just a feel good book. So I would pick that one.
Have you seen the Octopus, My Teacher on Netflix or something like that?
No?
It's very similar. It's about real octopus. It's a documentary, and the guy's like filming the octopus, and they're like basically every day they are meeting at the ocean, and he's filming the life of octopus, and the octopus is teaching a lot of like wisdom to this guy.
See, and that is like pretty much the book. I have to watch this. What is it called again?
Yeah, the octopus, my great teacher, or something like that. You
Okay.
will search it on Netflix, and it should pop out.
Okay, I'm
It's
into
really
that.
nice. It's been awarded as like one of the best documentaries.
I'm all in. I'm going to watch that this weekend.
You go and watch it. Anything else you would like to share with us today? Anything on your mind or heart? Something, some wisdom? No pressure.
No, I just want to say like you are amazing, and like your whole story is amazing, and you're such a cool person, and like the fact that you're doing all of this and you're such a go-getter, you're starting your own business, you're again like I think you put on your story at one point in your in time, you're like, I'm moving all of my stuff to my personal account. If you don't like it, get out. And I just think that's so cool because like you are so genuine and authentic, and man, I'm just so happy to have you in my corner, and I'm so happy to have had the opportunity to play with you and get to know you and love you.
Mm,
And then when you told me the news before, it's just like it really like always sinks in when it feels like there's like a time limit. It's like, oh, I gotta like scramble, like make up for lost time. But genuinely, like talking to you, it feels like time hasn't even passed. And I think those are the people that are super special. And I appreciate you so much.
oh, thank you, Casey. Love you.
I love you.
This is not what we often say in Europe.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So
I know.
if we say it, we mean it.
Well, I appreciate that.
Oh, okay. Thanks so much for your time.